Hello YouTube, it's Darkon633 and today I'm bringing a review of the Transformers Generations Voyager class Brainstorm. Now Brainstorm is, well, pretty much considered the last full-on regular Generations release for 2014. Obviously in some stores we have actually, people have actually been able to find some of the R&D stuff, and soon we'll be getting into Combiner Wars since UK just got it and a few other places, so that's pretty cool. Now for being the last Voyager, I'm actually really impressed what Hasbro and Takara has done to design the Brainstorm figure. I'm not able to find this in the store, and it seems like a lot of people have the same issue. So when I got this from Hasbrotoyshop, it's definitely a really impressive figure that I got from them. It's actually one of the most slick Generation figures released so far. Especially since the Headmaster gimmick has actually been a very cool favorite gimmick. I didn't live during the Generation 1's time, but after seeing the G1 cartoon and actually not knowing what a Headmaster was back in Energon, I actually sadly lost Supreme Class Omega Supreme's head. I didn't realize there was a Headmaster, and the same thing could be said for Overlord or Ultra Magnus and Armada, whatever they call him, thanks to the dub kind of ruining that. Anyways, articulation-wise, his arms can go all the way around with nothing hindering. His arms can actually have quite impressive movement, especially for the wings getting in the way. It's actually pretty nice. His ends can also go that as well. His upper body can swivel, but it's rather tight. Sorry, not upper body, upper arm. He's got a double ball joint, well, not a ball joint, but a double joint on the arms due to transformation, so that's got a good range of movement. His wrists can kind of move around. That's due to transformation, so it's not really built in to there. His head is actually, the way that it's actually built in, allows it to have full ball joint movement in the head. So that's a pretty cool thing. I was wondering how Hasbro was going to design, Hasbro Takara was going to design the Headmasters. It's cool that they actually kept the ball joint there. His head can go 360 and just turn around, so pretty good range of movement there. He has no waist articulation, but as long as you move these panels, his legs on really tight ratchet joints can go about that far. Can also bend at the knee, which is also really tight. And then can swivel as well on both sides, and feet can pivot due to transformation, and that's pretty much it for the articulation wise. Now, it's also cool is that inside, they actually kept the stat gimmick that the G1 toy had. So that's cool that they actually kept a nod to the G1 design and Headmaster as well. Now before we go on to the transformation, we're going to take a quick look at the box. On the box we have a really nice look of Brainstorm, except it kind of looks like the Fall of Cybertron Seekers from far away, so it's cool, but it's also in a very similar pose to that of like Skywarp, Thundercracker, Starscream, and all that, so it's kind of odd there. On the back, shows his stats. Shows that he has the head converts to a pilot, which is kind of sad that they don't have Arcana's name listed here, so it's not Brainstorm or Arcana, it's just Arcana, I'm sorry, Brainstorm with just the Headmaster. So it would have been cool to actually see Arcana listed there, but I don't think they got the rights or something, I don't know. Anyways, his bio reads, a genius scientist and a diabolical inventor, Brainstorm develops advanced weaponry for the Autobots. Although many of the inventions are deemed too devastating for use in actual combat, it's possible his laboratory itself is most dangerous creation. Brainstorm frequently ignores proper safety protocols, and an unwary visitor to his lab runs a high risk of triggering some half-finished doomsday weapon. In spite of this, he's allowed to continue his work, proof of just how valuable Brainstorm is to the Autobot cause. Now I remember why, because this is actually based on the IDW design and the character, so that's why Arcana's not listed. So, otherwise, it's still a really nice design, and I really enjoy what Brainstorm has. Anyways, his Headmaster gimmick, what you technically can do is just pull the head off all the way, but it's kind of a little better to hold on to this little clip here, so that you have a little bit easier movement to remove the head. On some people's Brainstorms, even though I don't really understand too well just looking at the photos and even in hand. Something about this clip is over the head, or it's like plugged over, so due to a misassembly error. So people are breaking off the head of the Headmaster instead, so that's kind of a bummer. Anyways, the Headmaster itself is quite easy to transform. All you gotta do is pull down the legs. And sometimes the way that it's clipped in, sometimes this piece does pop off, so keep that in mind. And you can kind of just move the hands around a bit, and as you can see there, it already clipped off right there. So yeah, it's kind of annoying, but what can you do? And that's pretty much it for the Headmaster. I'm going to show a quick look at the Headmaster itself, so I'll be back. And we're back. As you can see, it's a very small head, and unfortunately, for some reason, I cannot get it too focused on the camera. Okay, that's a little better. Anyway, so it's a really rather small little robot head. His head is on a ball joint as well. That's the joint that it actually attaches onto Brainstorm's body itself. And another thing that kind of is a bummer for me is that in the original G1 designs and even the Fans Projects designs, the helmet actually was found a way to get hidden so you wouldn't see the eyes in robot mode of the Headmaster itself. But they just kind of molded it in one way, so you see the eyes all the time. So it would have been cool to see if they could find a way to hide the face, but it's not too big of an issue. And he keeps dropping, sorry about that. Other articulation points, obviously, due to transformation. You can bend his legs like that, and it can also bend all the way there. Obviously, his hands can bend, but other than that, articulation-wise, that's pretty much all you're getting. Now we're going to go back to Brainstorm. Now that we're back to Brainstorm, what's cool is that this can actually go inside the cockpit, which we'll get to in a minute. But first, we're going to take a quick look at his guns. They're very close to the G1 design of his actual personal weaponry, and they're very, very nice looking. I really like the molding that they put over the guns on the gun pieces themselves and so on. And they have a very nice vintage kind of style look to the weaponry, so that's pretty awesome. In terms of transformation, he's actually quite simple to transform. What you're going to do is, first, you're going to pull up the fins up there. Bend down the elbows. And actually, they're going to bend the other way, so one moment. First, you're actually going to collapse the hands into his arm. Clap the hands into his arms. Turn this around, and then it's going to bend like that on both sides. And actually, no. Sometimes it gets a bit confusing there. Okay, there. You're supposed to turn these around and then plug this on. So it looks like that for now. The front part here, what you're going to do is bend these as far as you can, because you're going to take this nose cone piece from the back, and it has to find its way into the area there. So just get these out of the way, and it'll look like that, something like that. What you're going to do next is make sure that these pieces go all the way to his back like this. So now you can clip in the nose cone like that. Open up the panels on his legs and collapse his feet onto the panels. And actually, I forgot to mention that he's actually got a very small ankle swivel, so that's kind of cool. Close them off. And what's going to do is these little pegs here are going to peg into the holes that are in the back. Brainstorm. So now you got it looking like that. And to finish off the transformation, what you're going to do next is there's these little pegs on the side of his arms. You're going to peg into a hole that's on his legs. So as long as you bend these just a tad bit, align them, and then they're going to peg into his legs. And once you get that done, you have Brainstorm in his vehicle mode. And now I'll be back to get a better view. And we're back. Now here is Brainstorm in his vehicle mode. Now the cool part is that he's got this kickstand kind of thing. Usually when it comes to jets, they're usually wheels or So yeah, a set of wheels that would appear in the back on the sides and all that. But he's not really, per se, realistic, humanized jet, since this is more of a Cybertronian kind of jet. So you can see why he's actually just got a kickstand instead of wheels on his body there. Now, just like his G1 toy, you can actually plug in the guns onto the front. So just looking at it off the bat, he's got a very, very huge homage to the G1 design, and obviously heavily based on his IDW design. So I can't wait to see what the other Headmasters will look like in the line if and when they'll ever get released. Now, what you can do here is open up the cockpit, and one part of the transformation which we haven't finished yet is that inside, this piece is actually just going to flap up, and now you got the entire seat there. You can take his Headmaster and actually make him pilot it. So it's got the old G1 Headmaster kind of style, or Microman kind of style, where you can actually put a pilot in the mode. It's got a very cool jet mode, and I really enjoy Brainstorm's overall design. I wonder how Repro Labels is going to make this thing look like more like the G1 toy. So that's actually kind of cool to think about here. On his wings, he's got these very nice G1 styled Autobot emblems. A lot of the generations we got for both but for both Roadbuster and Whirl, a lot of the stickers he had to apply in themselves. So this time he didn't come with stickers, and they just painted, or, well, I think it is just painted or tapographed or something, the emblems onto his wings, and obviously there's nothing at the bottom there. So otherwise, this jet's really cool. Obviously it can't roll because it doesn't have any wheels, but it's got a very nice design overall, and I really enjoy how they designed it in both modes. I'll be back in Rome to show my final thoughts. Now, the reason why I kept this back in this mode is that even though I transformed it off screen, one thing I will show is that inside here, just to show the Headmaster gimmick, when plugging onto the head, we'll have the ability to see the stats actually appear when you plug it in. As you can see, it's got the panel which actually becomes the seat. When plugged in properly, we'll actually clip down and show the stats once again. So I really like that they kept that intact, and I really like the design overall. Now, Brainstorm is personally one of the best Generations figures we got this year, and if not the best overall Generations figure in the entire release of 2014. I'm really impressed just how far Hasbro and Takara went out of the way to make this an overall one of the best and one of the coolest representations of the Transformers Generations figures I've seen in quite some time. It's also cool since it is the very first Headmaster release altogether ever since their G1 designs back in the 80s. So I'm really, really hoping they will continue and create the last 4 Autobots, since I really doubt they're going to make a new version of Fort. I guess they can make Cerebros, but it'd be kind of pointless since it just turned into a head. But I am very happy for what we got overall, and hope Hasbro and Takara will continue to make high-quality products for all the Headmasters in the future, and even if they can, go into the Decepticons ones as well. Anyways, please check out the site Hirotaku. Also check out the associated podcasts in Rajio, WRW, Hero Talk, and Hero News. And please subscribe and check the other channels down below. And I'll see you to YouTube. Bye.